On the first night, the forest laughed at me. Not a cute laugh, not a nervous giggle, but a deep, busted laugh that sounded like trees choking on secrets. I spawned in with a flashlight, a pocket knife, and the dumb confidence of a guy who thought 99 nights sounded manageable. The air smelled wet and metallic like rain sitting on old coins. Somewhere far off, something howled, then cut itself off, like it realized I was listening. I told myself it was just ambience, just code, just pixels, even as my hands sweated through the controller. I walked forward anyway, because that's how every bad decision in my life starts. The cabin showed up like a bad promise. One light on, door half open, wood creaking like it had arthritis. I stepped inside and the door slammed shut behind me. I yelled, actually yelled, alone in my room, then laughed to cover it up. Funny scared is still scared. Inside, the cabin smelled like dust and old meat. There was a bed, a table, and a map nailed to the wall with a knife. 99 nights circled in red ink. Cute. Night one was easy, they said. I gathered wood, built a fire, ate canned beans like a survival champ. I even cracked jokes to nobody, calling myself Forrest Gordon Ramsay. Then the sun dropped too fast, like it tripped. The shadow stretched wrong. My flashlight flickered like it was thinking about quitting. That was when I heard footsteps outside the cabin. Slow, heavy, patient, not animal, not friendly. I held my breath. Because apparently my brain thinks monsters hunt by oxygen. The handle on the door twisted. I whispered, no, 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 like that has ever worked. The door didn't open. The footsteps walked away. I laughed again, louder, shaky. See? Easy. Then the window tapped. Once, twice, like someone knocking politely on glass. I didn't look. I counted seconds until morning. When the sun finally rose, the forest looked normal again, and I hated it more for that. Night one ended, and the game flashed a message. Survive 98 more. My smile hurt. Night 5 taught me the forest had a sense of humor, and it was dark as hell. By then I learned routines, chop wood, reinforce walls, hunt rabbits that always seemed smarter than me. I named the cabin Safe, which was hilarious in hindsight. I talked to myself constantly, cracking jokes, pretending I wasn't alone. The silence didn't care. It pressed in anyway, thick as fog. That night, the radio turned on by itself. Static first, then a voice, calm and friendly, like a late night DJ. You're doing great, it said. I froze. The voice used my name. I laughed, because what else do you do when a game crosses lines? Nice try, I said. Real funny. The radio laughed back. Same rhythm as the forest. I barricaded the door harder than usual. The fire popped. Shadows danced on the walls, stretching into shapes that didn't belong to wood or flame. Something scratched outside, slow and deliberate, like it had all night. I tried sleeping. The bed shook. I sat up so fast my neck cracked. A face pressed against the window. Humanish. Too many teeth, eyes reflecting my flashlight like mirrors. I screamed, dropped the light, crawled backward. The face smiled wider. Then it was gone. No sound, no footsteps, just absence. Morning came late. The game said nothing. No message, no comfort. I went outside and found words carved into a tree near the cabin. You're fun to watch. I laughed until it hurt because if I didn't laugh, I quit. And quitting felt worse than fear. By night 12, I stopped pretending this was just a game. The forest remembered things. It learned patterns. If I ran, it chased. If I hid, it waited. I started setting traps, talking trash like a boxer. Come on, I'd say, you ain't got it. Sometimes something in the dark would chuckle, low and pleased. One night I followed a light between the trees, blue and soft like a will-o'-the-wisp. Bad idea, I know. It led me to another cabin, burned down, walls blackened. Inside was a mirror. I don't remember putting mirrors in the game. I looked anyway. My character stared back, exhausted, eyes ringed dark. Then he smiled. I didn't. The mirror version raised a hand. I backed away. He mouthed words I couldn't hear. The forest leaned closer, branches creaking like joints. I ran back to safe, laughing and swearing, heart trying to escape my chest. When I slammed the door, the mirror version was sitting on my bed, legs crossed, grinning like we were old friends. By night 30, humor became armor. I joked through everything. Jump scare? Roasted. Shadow monster? Nickname it. The forest hated that. It wanted fear, raw, and honest. So it changed tactics. It got quiet. Too quiet. No howls. No footsteps. Just my breathing and the crackle of fire. That was when the cabin door opened on its own. No slam, no drama. Just a slow, polite creak. Outside stood people, campers, normal clothes, smiling. One waved. "You okay in there?" he asked. Relief hit me so hard I almost cried. I stepped forward. The smile split his face open, jaw unhinging, eyes rolling back. The others followed, bodies bending wrong, bones popping. I slammed the door, screaming, laughing, crying all at once. The forest roared approval. Night 30 ended with me alive, shaking and weirdly proud. By night 60, I was different, sharper, meaner. The forest respected that. It threw everything at me. Monsters, storms, voices of people I missed. I answered with grit and bad jokes. "You got to do better than that," I'd say, bleeding, fixing walls. Sometimes it listened. Night 99 arrived like a held breath. The forest was still. No sounds at all. I stepped outside the cabin for the last time. The trees leaned back. The path opened. The game waited. I laughed, tired and real. "All right," I said. "Let's finish this." The forest didn't rush me anymore. That was the worst part. By night 70, it treated me like a roommate it hated but respected. No jump scares, no cheap tricks, just pressure. Constant, invisible pressure, like hands on my shoulders pushing me forward, whether I wanted to move or not. I'd step outside the cabin and the trees would creak together, whispering in tones too low to be words, like they were gossiping about me. I cracked jokes anyway. Yeah, I hear you," I'd say. "Y'all sound like my aunties at Thanksgiving." I started seeing things in the daylight. That's when I knew the game was messing with me for real. Shadows lingered too long. Trees shifted when I blinked. Once I found footprints circling the cabin, barefoot, human-sized, stopping right at the door. I stared at them for a full minute before laughing like a lunatic. "Free rent?" I asked the forest. "At least take your shoes off before you come in." Night 78 hit different. The sky turned the color of a bruise. My radio crackled on again. Same calm voice, same fake friendly tone. "You're almost there," it said. "Don't you want to know what happens at the end?" I told it to shut up. The radio sighed like I disappointed it. That night, the cabin walls bled. Not a lot. Just enough. Thin lines, seeping between the logs, dripping onto the floor. I gagged and laughed at the same time. "Real mature," I said, mopping it up, like this was a normal chore. The bleeding stopped. The forest didn't like being mocked. By night 85, it got personal. I heard my mom's voice calling my name from between the trees. I didn't answer. I sat on the bed, shaking, fists clenched, muttering jokes under my breath like prayers. Nice try, I whispered. She'd never come out here. She hates bugs. The voice laughed, sharp and wrong, and faded away. The monsters came back after that. Bigger, smarter. One stood outside the cabin all night just breathing. Slow, deep. Every inhale rattled the windows. I stared at the door until my eyes burned. You gonna come in or what? I asked. It exhaled harder, fogging the glass, and walked away at sunrise. Power move, respect. Night 90 was the calm before the final punch. No sounds, no movement, just me, the cabin, and the feeling that the forest was watching, waiting for me to mess up. I didn't sleep. I sharpened my knife, fixed my walls, and told jokes to the dark until my voice went hoarse. I'm still here, I said. You hear that? Still, here. The forest answered with silence. And for the first time, I felt like it was nervous too. Night 99 didn't start with fear. It started with clarity. The forest looked clean, sharp, like it had scrubbed itself for an audience. The path opened straight ahead, wide and obvious, leading away from the cabin. No tricks, no shadows. That scared me more than anything else. I stepped outside and the door didn't slam. The cabin just stood there, quiet, like it was done with me. All right, I said, voice steady somehow. Last round. My footsteps sounded loud, final. The trees leaned inward as I walked, branches brushing together, not touching me, just close enough to remind me they could. I laughed softly. Y'all gonna miss me. Halfway down the path, the forest showed me everything, every monster, every face in the window, every voice it had stolen. They stood between the trees, watching, silent now. Not attacking, just observing. I felt weirdly proud, like I passed some messed up exam. That all you got? I asked. My voice echoed back, warped, deeper. It didn't sound like me anymore. At the clearing, there was a mirror, same one from before. I stepped closer. My reflection stared back, older, exhausted, eyes sharp with something dangerous. He smiled. This time I smiled back. You were a pain in my ass, I told him. He nodded like he agreed. The forest groaned, low and angry. The mirror cracked down the middle. Lights spilled out, blinding, roaring. I laughed loud and real because fear didn't own me anymore. Game over, I said, stepping forward. Like, share, and subscribe the channel.